Got the siding folks here. We're gonna make this building here look like this. A lot of people on site today. We got a bit of a delivery as well. This is the siding that we decided to go with in color. Pretty sturdy, but
this is called a Nichiha system, and it's actually a cement board, meaning that it's kind of made out of like a composite of cement, gypsum, and wood fiber material, and then it's painted, whatever color you want to go with. But essentially, the system comprises of the actual panels, which you can obviously see. They also have corner tracks, and then they also have something called a starter track. Each panel kind of has a flange on the bottom that sets right into itself. It's hidden so you can't see it, but the flange the track is actually screwed into the actual building, and then that track holds each panel, and then each panel stacks on top of each other. And each panel has like a sealing system on top of it. So once they sit on top of each other, they're sealed. We'll also be going back through and caulking all the seams that you see. On the bottom side here, there's also a piece of metal that we actually color matched. So that piece of metal right there was actually bent on site by the siding installers, and they installed that underneath to give the finished look, transitioning from the brick onto that siding system that you see. So it gives it a very nice clean edge. Overall, the system is really clean looking. You can obviously cut different panels to fit around your windows and stuff like that. So the system itself is very pretty user friendly, pretty easy to install once it's all understood. And then there's a bunch of different components which I can show you over here. So over here we kind of got the bulk of the siding material. You can kind of see, get a better idea of how the system is put together. So the installers will actually screw directly to the building, and then this panel right here will sit right in that track, and then as you go up, every system has a something called an ultimate track, and they just stack right into each other one after another, kind of like Legos almost. This is a like an edge track here, so this gives acts as a finish bead, but also as a sealing bead as well. Obviously, they'll still have to run caulk around the entire thing, but this piece is used to trim out areas like around your windows. And also on all of your corners, you can see that it's been installed on all of your corners as well. Again, you won't see this particular material, you won't see much of it because it'll get covered by a finished caulk bead once it's all been installed. We've actually poured some new concrete, which is what I'm standing on right now. So kind of the process of how this is done is, obviously the ground is leveled out. Usually we bring in a stone, a finer crushed stone for underneath. We level out, and then we install our formwork. And actually, if you come over here, this will come off, but that's how you have to pour concrete, since it's so heavy. It can push anything out. So this board's actually nailed right into the CMU here, and then they can pour into that. But that's kind of what was around this entire slab. You can kind of see on the edges. They've stripped, what it's called is that you strip the concrete, you strip the forms once it's hardened for usually 24 to 48 hours. You're safe to pull all of your formwork off. So these cuts are made 48 hours after cement has been poured. You allow it to cure again for 48 hours, and then you make these cuts. And these cuts are just to allow for expansion and contraction of the cement. So you're not, if we weren't to make cuts like this, the cracks would, create themselves. So we try to make these cuts to eliminate any cracks that might happen, in any given slab with contraction and expansion of concrete. The least amount of compression strength that you're allowed to have in a concrete slab or form is usually 2,500 psi, but it can get up to 4,000. I think this one was 3,000. 3,000 is usually a pretty standard number, but how that works is the city or the testing agency will take small samples of the concrete before you pour it, and then after 28 days they'll put it in their lab and they'll measure the compression strength of that to make sure that this slab has also achieved that full compression. So the chemical term for concrete hardening is called heat of hydration, but basically the concrete actually gets really, really hot while it's curing, and then eventually all of that moisture leaves it, and then that achieves full cure time at 28 days.
Nice.
This is part of our fire suppression line here. As you see, it runs up and towards the back of the building, and the network is kind of spread out throughout the system. This is the main, the fire suppression main that actually comes in off of the street here. So there's a water main underneath East Warren. We go in and tap that water main to bring in our water main for this building, but also our fire suppression main for the building as well. So this is the pop-up of the fire suppression main, and then code requires that we have something called a backflow preventer installed right after the main pipe comes up out of the ground from the city. So this whole system that you kind of see here is something called a backflow preventer. So in the event that the building, if we lose pressure here, the backflow preventer keeps the water that's already in the piping from coming back through the system and losing pressure. So there's other reasons for it as well, which I'm actually not as familiar with, but I do know that code requires this to be there. And then of course you have a bleeder valve here in case there's excess pressure. But it's an elaborate system. This will get boxed out, and then on the back end, back there's a fire suppression room, and that's going to have a very in detail integrated system as well, and that'll be primarily where any control that's needed, whether it's shut off or test mode or something like that, everything will be done from that fire suppression room.
You made it to the end. I really appreciate you for watching this video in its entirety. I didn't have a chance to end the video at the site today. It was a pretty busy day, so just having a chance as I'm editing the video to just basically thank you for keeping up with my weekly episodes. And this episode is special because we've been waiting to get that siding installed for a few months, and to actually get to a point where we're making the outside pretty. This is a bit of an accomplishment, and you probably heard me say that on other aspects of this project, but really seeing the concept come to fruition vision-wise from the exterior makes me feel a particular way. I'm really excited to see how this siding kind of fleshes out over time, over the next few weeks more specifically, and can't wait to share that with you as well. But with that said, I really appreciate once again you checking in and listening to me ramble here, and also the other skilled trades and knowledge banks that we have access to via the different team members for our artisan, the access of the architect that brings a wealth of knowledge that I'm hoping to better incorporate in future videos. But with that said, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, hit the notification button, and I'll see you in the next video.